How's it going?
Good. I'm excited to talk to you today because you are now my, I think, fifth person I've talked to about their own spirituality and the sacred secrets they've figured out along the way. So welcome, Lissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you and like what your spiritual life looks like.
Okay, so, and I'm very curious as if you've had guests like me before. I am a post-Mormon, so I recently just left Mormonism.
Recently?
And
wow, really?
Yeah,
I just got goosebumps everywhere. So.
Yeah, me too, actually. It's so weird because a lot of the people in this community typically have like a coming out, and I haven't really done that. So It feels actually really weird to say that out loud and then have it be recorded. So yay.
Fabulous. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I high five my friends pretty often now. There's a bunch of us that are ex-Mo, and we survived a cult. High five.
It's true, I think. Oh. I mean, I know I obviously am not a Mormon. I don't know how that all works, but I do understand a little bit, I should say, about just truth, I think. And there's a bit of that seems a little bit wonky.
You're not wrong,
Yeah. So. I used to work for a Mormon, actually. It didn't last very long.
Really? I mean, they're some of the best and worst people, but that's typical for anything, I think,
Yeah, it really is. And honestly, like, everything's a cult. Everything, like, there's just different varying levels of it. And hopefully we all find our own sovereign path where it's not a cult. And we just based off of our own authenticity. That's my hope for everybody anyway.
That's why I'm so excited to be here because, I can't remember for like how long I've been following you, but I just love what you're doing. So I'm excited to be a part of it. So
thank you. Yeah, no, I'm pumped to have you here. So
thank you.
So tell me more about this Mormon thing. Like,
okay, so
I mean, how'd you get out? Like all that good stuff. What'd you learn?
Right. Isn't that a whole thing? So out of all of my three, I have two sisters, and then out of the three of us, I was the last to leave. And it was only recently, really, like I would say a few years, where I've like officially considered myself post-Mormon. So I've been in for 30 something years, and one of my kids was baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You're supposed to say the whole name, but can we use Mormon and
you're post-Mormon, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Thank you. Whatever the fuck I want. I can even say the F word if I want.
That's right, girl. That's right.
Anyway, so it was actually via a book I randomly found on a shelf, but I was meant to find, called This. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, by Michael Gungor.
Oh.
And then that was sort of like my whole deep dive into it all. And recently with COVID have gone even more like deep into this whole stuff with conspiracy theories as
we're air quoting that for the people.
Yeah, there is air quotes, aka truth,
Yeah. So AKA, I'm thinking for myself and just researching things, but sure.
Yeah. I know. Are we even allowed to say those words, like, because of
probably not, but I did have a little conversation with somebody yesterday, side note, that like calling somebody woo-woo and calling somebody conspiracy theorists are literally the same thing. Okay. All you're doing is like just denying somebody else's like reality and honestly love for you for like trying so hard. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just a way to hold people down. So
it's so freaking true. Oh my goodness. That's I'm so happy to find people that like feel the same way. It makes me really happy because there's like,
a lot of us.
I know, I'm finding that out because I was feeling there's a small group of us on this end, and we were feeling really like isolated and alone, but as we find each other, it's just growing and expanding, and it's
all online usually too for me anyway.
I would love to meet in person everybody someday we can do.
Are you in Utah?
No, I'm actually here, there, and everywhere. Currently in Arizona, but also live in Colorado. And
okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, where are you?
California.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But I'm from New York, which is, I think, where Mormonism started, no?
Yeah.
They,
See, you do know that. What's your history with Mormonism besides?
well, I not a whole lot. Like I said, I'm from upstate New York, so I know about where it started. I know about the area and the story of like the mysticism behind it, which I'm not against mysticism at all.
Right.
What has it turned into is another story.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, that's my whole thing is I was like, I mean, if you can think about Joseph Smith in terms of that side, I'm like, I mean, he's kind of cool what he did. He was really into magic and stuff like that.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
I know.
All of these like mystics from the, I don't know, 1800s, I guess. Like there's a whole bunch of them, and they're cool stories. I'm from Poughkeepsie, New York, and there was one famous guy there I didn't know about until recently, but he was called the Poughkeepsie Seer, and he was a mystic, and he's right there in the 1800s in my hometown. So yeah, it's really interesting. So other than that, I worked with a guy for like 4 years who was a Mormon who seemed to be like cool with it. He like everything seemed legit for him, and he was a legit person, so there wasn't any like weird vibes about it. And then after that job was the job I got for working for a Mormon, and it was probably the worst 4 months of my life. It was awful. It was just straight up awful. So that's my experience.
Yeah, okay.
I try not to judge everybody by my own one experience. But
right. No, I know.
Like,
and then,
oh my God, like, what are you doing to people? Like, what?
Yeah, it's honestly, I'm in a little bit of an angry phase in my like grief journey through this, and I kind of want to burn it down, but I mean, no, I don't. I just,
I mean, you're allowed to have feelings though. You're allowed to be pissed and like what the fuck did you just do to me? Like, yeah.
Right.
Totally.
I mean, like my whole life has been based on it, kind of, it's not just like a Sunday religion. It's like every day of the week, my whole family was built on it. So it's been interesting.
So let me ask you, not why, but like, what was the difference between your two sisters leaving and you? What was the gap there?
Isn't that interesting? That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out is like, I don't know. I'm wondering if it's in my chart, like in my stars. This is the part that I really want to like look into is like, I don't know if it's the Sagittarius in me that I'm just dedicated to whatever it is. I've married 15 years and church, like foundations of my life. And both of those things are sort of not there anymore. And
You've been married for 15 years?
You
don't even look old enough.
Oh, thank you. You're so nice.
Like, wait a minute.
Thank you. You're really nice.
Oh my God. No, yeah, I guess that's a part of it though, isn't it?
Yeah. So all of that's kind of like that doesn't exist right now. And I don't know, both of them left when they were young. And I've always questioned, like, if you know anybody that knows me, they'll tell you I was like not your normal Mormon, I've always questioned everything. But it's like the whole thing when you're that brainwashed, like again, 30 something years, like you can't see it till you're out. I feel like it's a bubble. And like I was close to the edge for so long. And then it's just like once you get out, you can't unsee it, and that's like how it was for me.
That will never stop. Honestly, if you're I don't like to call them seekers because then if you seek, you never find. But finders, that is the MO of a finder, is to just like pop the bubble. But it's hard though, because you can't always see that there's a bubble there. But once you pop the first one, it like just shows you every other bubble that's like behind it. And you just keep on going and you keep finding and you keep finding. So
for real.
Really interesting.
That's what I've been doing for the past few years. I feel like I've had this like shelf and I'm like taking things off the shelf one at a time to sort of explore. And it's a big world, like in this spiritual world, one thing my friend and I had a big long conversation about was money today, like money as black magic. Like we were talking about this idea. I know it's a whole thing. I mean, we should talk about that because it's like, she says the people that she's talked to that are kind of in this realm have all agreed with her. And so.
Yeah. I don't know if I have time to talk about money because it is deep. And I'm also not sure I want to be branded this kind of conspiracy theorist. Yes.
I I know. I wanted to
There's
go.
a bit of I will say enslavement of
Yeah. I
humanity
mean,
behind money for sure.
if
But that doesn't make money itself evil. There's like separations and compartments to put this all in. You know, it's not like
mhm.
black or white, one or the other.
Oh, geez. I know that's the whole thing. There's nuance in everything, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the whole thing that's complicating this journey is just like finding that and figuring out how to like fit it into all of this. But it all has to do with that sovereignty and the, the stuff that is
Yeah.
that we're all here for,
Personal freedom for sure is like,
Yeah.
is it? This is it. That is it. Like
Right.
that, you can't have anything else without that.
I know.
So it really surprises me how many people, it's not their fault because our society doesn't tell them to or show them how, but freedom is the be all end all.
I
That's
know.
it. And it got freedom all of a sudden got branded as a Republican thing.
I
Like
know.
I'm like, hello, no.
I
My
know.
personal liberty has literally nothing to do with this. It has to do with God. Like that's it.
Seriously.
And not God of the Republicans, of this like white man on a, like with a beard on the top of a hill somewhere in the clouds.
Right.
It's
Which is the one I've known,
I know. Hey, I trust me. It took
I
me a
know.
long time, not until recent years, to go, oh wait, there's like probably a male and a female energy.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to even go, ooh, okay, so there might be a female energy around some of this.
Right.
Even to say the word goddess was for me like, oh, don't do
Yeah.
that. And even still, when I pray, sometimes it's to this like white guy in the clouds. And I'm like,
Same.
hold on. No, deeper than that. Energy down. Go. Okay.
Same. I feel so like witnessed and validated because everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, I feel that so much. It's
Yeah.
wild. And what's so crazy is like how I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to find you because again, it's the whole thing going through the pandemic, especially, it was so hard to find people that were not on either side because everything was is so politicized, where it's like, no, it's not about that. And it's not about that. It's just about what is like truth.
If humans in a general sense could just get taught about paradox,
Mm-hmm.
the world would be massively different because it's the anti-black and white. It is
Right.
it is holding black and white together at the same time and going, these two things contradict each other, but they're both true.
Right.
Like that is possible. And if you are somebody that can hold a paradox, you might get labeled a hypocrite because you're not willing to be on one side or the other.
Right.
It's not about being on one side. It's about seeing everything from the whole.
Right.
And when you get rid of a goddess that exists, the female energy behind God, you lose out on the ability as a human, because it trickles down, right? As above, so below.
Right.
Humans don't have much ability to access the feminine parts of themselves.
I know.
Which is a holistic thinking.
Right.
So
love that. I know. I'm reading Mary Magdalene Revealed right now. Have you read that by Megan Watterson?
Oh, I have not. I have her cards.
Okay. But maybe give it a read, add it to your list. I don't know about you, but I'm reading like 15 books at a time. So
always having like, I never finish books and I used to berate myself about that.
Same.
And now I realize that when I get what I need out of a book, it's okay to not finish it. Go on to the next one. Yeah. Give some grace,
Yeah. That's the whole message is like, can we get back to our like divine femininity, like everybody, and also while honoring the masculine. Like, I think we've lost that too. And I'm really sad. But again, I think we're finding it again on a collective level, just slowly at a time,
Yeah. Hopefully we don't lose the ability to do that in the process.
I know. Isn't that the key?
Yeah. That's it. That's it. The sovereignty, liberty, freedom, all of that is all we really have at the end of the day. And when we don't have that, we don't have anything else. We have an illusion of everything else, but we don't really have it.
So what have you found is the best way to like spread this message? Because that's something that I feel like I struggle with because of coming from a cult where we sent 19-year-old boys door to door to spread our message, right? And look,
should we start doing that?
I know. Right?
Go door to door. Hey, it seems to be the thing nowadays.
I know, your DVD, like the little gift you got on your doorstep, right?
Yeah.
Have you watched it yet? Have you watched?
Yeah, I've been pretty wrapped up today, but I probably will later on. It's only an hour, so
Got it.
I've done so many deep dives into the goddess and Mary Magdalene that anything that's like not deeper than that, I'm just like, please.
Oh.
Give me a break.
Oh, okay. So then where would you, so I want you still to answer that question, but then where would you recommend somebody start? Like, what was it for you that with that deep?
That's
like,
a really great question. It's hard to answer in a way because of how I read books, you know, like how we were just saying, like, it's like one, then the other, then the other. It's just been this compilation of like many, many, many different books and online articles and my own inner guidance system and all of that. Just, and then what comes out of my mouth is just an amalgamation of all of it, like how I've compacted it and put it together and express it into words. So it's kind of hard. It's one of those finder journeys, you know, you like have a question in your mind and you keep looking until you find the answer.
For sure. No, I love that too. Like the other day, my therapist was like recommended, or she told me to start researching a certain archangel that I had never heard of. And I was like, that's, I think, how you do this, right? Is like listening to something that you say will make me go deeper, you know? So
exactly. And I love that your therapist sounds a little bit woo like mine.
I know. I found her because like her interest listed Reiki, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I'm in. Anything that's like that,
And I love that I just said woo and I was just saying it's a bad thing. I think other woo people can call people woo.
Yeah, for sure.
I know. When it's a slur, it's not okay.
But, right. You know, no, I've actually started saying it more because you say it, and I was like, I like that, so I borrowed it.
I say it now, like, because I make fun of the people that call me that or have me that, because it's like, okay, you would have called me a name, cool, but at the same time, like, I know way more than you do.
Right. Yeah.
I just know that.
Yeah.
All the things you think are crazy. Oh, there's so much more. There's so much more. And if you want to hear it, I will tell all to you.
So. I know. So again, that kind of circles back to like, how do you spread your message? Like, I feel like it's so important and I don't know how to do. I feel overwhelmed.
That's such another good question. I don't know if I know. I don't know if I have a good answer because I don't think I've done it very well.
Well, you are.
You know, like I think like I get online every day and I talk to my phone and I'm doing this, which is a part of helping, you know, like something creative. I think art in general is a really good way to spread a message because it hits on a deeper level. Even if you don't cognitively understand what the person is doing in the art, it still shifts something within you.
Right. No, I mean, I would just say you're doing it already. Like listening to you every day, you know, like I think that is what it is. And I tell my friends about you, and I think like because sometimes you have better words than I do, you know what I mean? I think that's so you are doing it. It's just another way.
I haven't gotten to the point where I'm ready to recruit people to walk door to door, but you know, maybe that's not a bad idea.
I know.
I wouldn't even know where to start with that. Like knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. Hi, can I talk to you about the real Jesus? Hi, can I
that name tags like
talk to you about aliens and extra dimensional beings and how it's all connected to your slavery? Great.
So funny. It's so I feel it.
It's kind of something you wait, at least in my experience. I wait for the person to come to me. That's the other thing is like I'm really big on like secrets of a human and the humanity, like how we work on the inside seems to be a secret, and I like to live my life by being a human, like in all forms and all expressions. And one of those things is like mental wellness and psychological health, right? And boundaries are huge in that. And a part of boundaries is you don't offer help onto somebody who hasn't asked for it. It's not a good boundary. You're crossing their boundary. You're crossing your own inner child's boundary. Like there's just it's that helper mentality that shuts people off.
You're right.
And so when people seem curious and they usually find their way to me, or they hover around, it's another thing, like they'll hover around me, but like won't really ask for anything, then I'll find that moment where they're like, they seem kind of open and I say something very benign. And that usually starts the process. But to just talk to people who haven't already asked for help, that's a huge boundary violation, which is why I hate when people leave shit on my doorstep and knock on my door. Cause it's like, I didn't ask to be saved by your God. Like if I wanted to be saved by your God, I would have showed up at your doorstep. You know?
Right. I know. And it makes me so sad because that's such a huge part of the culture I come from, you know, and I think that that's something I've got to like unlearn a little more in my own head, you know?
Yeah. Therapy helps. Therapy
I know.
does help. It sounds like you have a good therapist, so she'll probably teach you like a lot of things that you were never taught.
I know.
In terms of like how to like run your own human.
Right. Just in boundaries in general. It's a whole thing. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in cults, there are no boundaries.
I know.
There just aren't. So.
Yeah. It's a thing. It fits all.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it just fits all of the things of a cult. And I thought that for so long. But I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think if anybody's listening or watching and they're going, okay, where does my soul or spirit feel oppressed? Go in that direction, because there's going to be an answer there. There's going to be a reason why, or like if this were you and you weren't out of Mormonism yet, I would ask you that question and you'd probably lead yourself to the fact that you're in a Mormon cult by your words. You know, I call it that because I have no, I trust that that's what it is because you told me, that's for sure. And so, I mean, I have no fucking clue, right? Like it seems like a cult to me. I know literally almost nothing. So
right, no, it is.
Yeah. So so then I would ask you that question probably, like where do you feel most oppressed in your life? And then that usually, if the person is really into changing their life and, self-development and all that, it would lead you right to where you are right now. You just follow that string.
For sure.
And that's how I get the message out when somebody has like a little opening of like, I'm curious,
Yeah, that is so beautiful. I love that question. I'll probably borrow that too because it's a beautiful one to ask. I think in a lot of situations, like not just applying that to my cult situation. It's really good, beautiful message.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's like, should I quit my job or not? Well, let's go toward the place you feel most oppressed. Where are you oppressed right now? And then the person will probably say, I have no autonomy. Like that's a huge deal, right? Like I have no autonomy in my job. They tell me I can call the shots, but I really can't. So then they feel like they're suppressed or oppressed. Their spirit has been, their voice has been, they're not allowed to use their voice, right?
Right.
That's an answer. Like, okay, so now you want to go somewhere that you're allowed to use your voice.
Right.
Or you need to voice an opinion now in the situation you're in. You don't necessarily need to quit, but you need to find a happy medium of using your voice because that's the part of you that wants to get expressed.
Yeah.
It's not allowing it. And expression is freedom. When you have freedom, you can express. But when you don't have freedom, you can't express.
Yeah. Right? That's beautiful.
And that's really all we are. If we are expressions of God, then we personally need to also express. And without freedom, you cannot.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. I just love everything you're saying. It's so beautiful.
And you know what? It's like simple. It's very simple. It's not.
I know.
It's not rocket science. It's not some crazy, like, out of your mind crazy thing you have to get on board with. It really is just that.
I know.
Expression. That's it.
So great. It's so true.
Yeah.
Like,
So
that's all. Yeah.
is there, do you have any other little nuggets that you would like to share of like what you've learned maybe about after Mormonism?
I know, right? Honestly, it's been a lesson in living in the now, really. Like, I feel like that's one of the things that society gets for us, that it's one of those secrets where we're living for this like idea of something that may not ever come for us, you know, whatever it is, the idea of a house, a car, a family, blah blah blah. Like, that's not guaranteed. What we have is today. Like, what can I do with today? The past is the past, the now is the now. Like, that's what we have, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I'm a huge proponent in mindfulness.
yeah.
Which is like basically teaching yourself how to be present in every moment.
Yeah, honestly.
That's all you really have. And even when you're planning for the future, you can be present in your planning.
Right.
You know, like, it doesn't have to mean like, oh, you're irresponsible and you're just hedonistic and like running around do whatever the hell you want all day.
Right.
No, it's just about being alive while you're doing it.
Right. And like, I want to do the thing now that's the right thing to do, and not for some promised idea of a celestial kingdom in heaven, right? Like, which ultimately to me feels selfish.
Just gets me like, what?
Yeah, I know. I know, girl.
There's like levels of heaven or something, and like,
oh, girl, yeah, for sure. It's a thing anyway. But the whole point is, like, I just want, like, which ultimately feels selfish to me. That whole idea, like, I'm doing that so I get something out of it. In turn, like, I'd rather just.
Oh, that's a great point. That is a really great point. And that's something I came across yesterday when I was, you know, if you're watching this later, yesterday somebody left some Jesus stuff on my doorstep.
Oh yeah.
And it was propaganda. It wasn't anything that was going to help me in my life. It was just like a bunch of lies. And they don't know it's lies, so there's that whole bit. But anyway, it just strikes me every time I read something Christian, not from Jesus, but Jesus is a whole separate issue or separate thing. This Christianity thing is like, I need to perform for love. I need to do X, Y, and Z in order for God to love me. I am inherently awful, and if I do this, then God will love me. That's literally the whole problem with humans and doing their human thing, is that they perform for love, and that I guess I should say we, because I am a human, we learn that the only way to get love is if you behave a certain way, or if you don't behave a certain way. Like, if you sink into the shadows and you hide for your whole life, that gets you love. That is not the fundamental teaching we should be sharing with people.
Right. I know. Isn't that wild?
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
I know. So yeah.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling. It hurts my heart. But you know, you can't really, it takes you a really long time to come to grips with reality that what you've learned your entire life or experienced your entire life was actually just abuse.
Yeah. I know.
It is. It sucks. And it's everybody in some way, shape, or form has like been put into that bubble that you talk about, right?
Yeah.
It's an abuse bubble.
Right.
It's a gaslighting bubble. It's a bubble you live in, and you don't know there's somewhere outside of it because the abuser's been telling you, you have it so good here.
Right.
You don't want to be like that other kid over there. You're going to be like this kid over here. Yeah. And then you'll get love from me, all that crap. And you can't actually see that you've just lived inside of this, what I call the abuse matrix. I don't like the word matrix because it's really overused, and it actually just means womb. Right. I don't think the word womb should be demonized, but
interesting. Wow. Good information.
Yeah. Most words that start with MA means some sort of the divine feminine.
Ah,
Mary, like Mary is really just a title for a priestess. It's a title. It's not a name, but it's turned into a name. Matrix. Let's see if I can come up with any others off the top of my head. You go through, look for like MA, sometimes MAT. They're MAR for sure. It is all about the feminine and that holy, sacred divinity of like where we all come from, which is a womb. You know, the womb is the doorway to heaven, basically. So, you know, like you come from heaven and you come out the womb, that's the doorway.
Yeah. Wow, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. So when we use the word matrix, I get a little, you know, angry, but
Yeah.
it is a web or a bubble of like abuse that we get put inside of, whether it's for you, it's cult abuse. Yeah, for me, you know, I'm not going to get into that right now.
Yeah.
Whole thing of abuse, you know, everywhere. And you just see it. And once you come out of abuse, you can name it and you see it literally everywhere in the world. Everywhere you walk is abuse. And you're like, nobody knows they're in it.
I know.
Nobody knows.
That was my whole waking up, especially like again over the last couple of years. It's like, whoa, you can't unsee it, you know?
Nope, you can't. You can't. And just like the finder, once you start popping the first bubble, you just keep on seeing more and more illusion. And that's why conspiracy theorists are who they are, is because they're finders. They pop the bubble, they go through to the next one. But most people like their bubble because their bubble is safe. Right?
Yeah. No, I know.
I don't want anybody like touching my bubble, you know?
Right. There are so many of us that are like, it would be easier to go back, you know, like it would be easier.
Oh, yes.
You know, but
would it really?
I know.
It would be so oppressed and angsty and like horribly just miserable is the word that comes to my mind. So it's actually doing the harder things actually easier.
Yeah.
Than living with misery for the next like 50 years or however many years, right? Or 70 years, however old you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This went over. I'm sorry to keep you longer. This has been a great conversation though.
No, thank you so much again for having me. I got so many nuggets out of there. I'm glad it's recorded so I can go back and take notes.
For sure. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think your story is amazing and I hope you continue to share it because I think people need to hear, especially about abuse. Even though if they can't relate to the Mormon part of it, everybody can relate to being abused on some level.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Yeah, I think it's a really important story for you to tell for sure.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And I will see you on Instagram.
Yeah, you will. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Namaste.
Yes,
Bye.
namaste.
Bye.